Well, so this is kind of an exciting project. This is going to be called History Through Slideshows. And I think everybody's got an old slideshow, whether it's basically what you're doing with converting real slides, historical slides, into digital images, or even going to an old like album in Facebook. I mean, we've got pictures, if you go back 10 years ago, that are interesting and could talk through some of those too. So that was kind of my idea, is that we would talk through some of these slides that you're converting and understand a little bit more about what happened back when these pictures were taken. So basically, I'm with my dad, Jim, and have talked with Mom a little bit on her perspective on some of these. And so I just would love to hear kind of how some of this came together. So the first image here is really Mom on a typewriter, and kind of what's going on here as we kind of begin. And this episode is basically the Peace Corps and when you guys were heading down the road to be a part of the Peace Corps. And help me out with the date here. What date time frame is this?
Okay, Mom and I went to Michigan State. She went a year earlier. I was at we were both at Spring Arbor our freshman year. Her sophomore year, she went to Michigan State to start home ec, and I stayed at Spring Arbor. Our junior years, we were both there at State, and then she finished in her fourth year, and I went on and added a fifth year because I changed my major at the end of my junior year. So this is the summer after I graduated my fifth year at Michigan State.
Okay.
And it actually started, the picture that you just mentioned of her at the table going through the, 20 or 30 page application.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. It was like you were applying for, I think, a CIA position or some it was ridiculous.
So what we don't see are the papers balled up on the floor. How many times did you get into a page and you're like, oh man,
you can see some of the pages. You can see some of the pages scattered around on the table because she is typing.
Oh yeah.
And so that's sort of an idea of what it was like.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
wow.
And then the next picture is of me on the floor opening the package of the stuff that came that I think was telling us, okay, you've been assigned to the El Salvador group, and it's going to meet, at a certain place in a certain time.
Certain place in a certain time, which actually takes us to the next shot, because you guys are obviously at the airport, so you've got travel. And
that's Detroit, yes.
That's Detroit, and then there's a couple shots in the air that I see. And the next thing is we are in Oklahoma.
Right, at Norman, Oklahoma, the University of Oklahoma.
And it's in the sign here where Mom's standing there with probably another person that's in the program.
Exactly.
And it says Peace Corps Project. So this was something that University of Oklahoma had.
They had two groups. They had our group, which was going to El Salvador, and they had a second group that was going to Bolivia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the two of us, we knew that the other one was there, but we never mixed. We never really even saw the other group.
Huh. Okay. And the next one must be the dorms that you guys stayed in.
Those are yes, they are. And I think we were on something like the 6th or 8th floor. I think maybe there's 10 altogether.
Yeah, and give me a time frame. It looks like, in Oklahoma, it's pretty temperate. But
we arrived a little bit before, I think it was the 1st of July.
Okay, so still summer.
Definitely summer.
Okay. Wow, yeah.
As you'll see in some of the, the girls are wearing skirts or shorts.
Yeah.
But
Well, but the next one is actually of Mom kind of standing out in the field. And looks like I'm not sure if those are jeans or.
Those are not jeans, but long.
Yeah.
They're khaki type pants. And then we got up at 5 o'clock to have PT for an hour before we ate breakfast.
Oh my!
And this is a picture of her on our way to. I think the first thing we did was the climbing and rappelling.
That's definitely
we had
coming.
Something at 5 o'clock, and each thing, and we went through like 3 different things.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
We were probably headed over to the gym to practice and learn how to rappel.
Well, and then you do have some shots of some classroom work. And so what were they doing, language classes?
We had like 5 hours of language a day, and we had a few other things like, what is the Peace Corps and what are we trying to do? And
right.
Some of those kinds of things.
Huh. And then I see the dorms back in what looks like maybe a chapel is in the foreground.
I don't think that was a chapel. The sign that says Peace Corps.
I do see it says Peace Corps Project, in the distance.
I think that was where the administrators, the guys that were running the training programs, I think that was their building.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And then
Diane and Bobby walking toward our dorms.
Oh, okay. And the next one's a little dark. It's just kind of a classroom.
Right.
Or is that what that is?
That is a room in the dorm. It was, I think, on the 6th floor or something like that. And most of the day, we were in individual classrooms doing things like language, and they had us divided up into several groups for Spanish. Those who'd never had Spanish, which we were in, and those who majored in Spanish in college. So, it was all in between. I think there were 3 or 4 different groups. But this was an evening class. After dinner, we would come here, and then we would go till about 10 o'clock at night, and they would have different kinds of things that they did.
Okay. And then in between all that, you get your wisdom teeth out, and obviously, Mom...
Part of going, right, we're 150 shot, and that's an exaggeration, but we got all kinds of shots, and they basically wanted us to be ready physically for 2 years. So teeth were one of the things they worked on, and both Diane and I had never had wisdom teeth pulled, so we both had 4 wisdom teeth pulled.
Yeah. Well, it is.
And this was after 2.
Oh, really? So you had a second round.
They did one side on one Friday and
the straight-on shot. The straight-on shot shows your right side of your face looks pretty normal, and your left side.
Yeah, that one hadn't been. They didn't do that one yet.
Or else you'd have looked great. Then we moved to the stadium, and I may see if I can find the current Oklahoma Sooners stadium, just to see how different it looks. I'll get a picture and overhead.
I'm not sure the stadium's going to look a whole lot different. They may have painted it. It may not be white anymore. I don't know. But my guess is that the stadium itself is probably fairly similar.
Okay.
And the reason I took that was because that was one of the places we went at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Of course.
And that was for rappelling, which you're going to see in the next few.
A little bit, yeah. Well, now, is that from the dorm's perspective?
That was from, yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, that gives me an idea of the of kind of the layout. The next shot looks like maybe from the dorms as well, but just kind of a sunset.
That's looking west. Yes. Okay. You can see how flat Oklahoma is.
Okay. All right. And we are now in this red bus kind of shows up a couple times. So I wonder if that was part of the program to transport you guys around.
It was. And you can see there's another one next to it. I think we were able to travel in 2 buses, but this is a group outing.
This is an outing that you guys went to. I see a totem pole in front of an Indian City Lodge.
Correct.
And this is still in Oklahoma, so...
Yes.
And a gentleman with a nice kind of headpiece here.
Yes, where we were headed was to an Indian outing, if you will. It was a dance that they did for themselves. They weren't necessarily expecting any observers, but somehow we got permission to come and watch them. And the next few pictures are showing what they were doing. They were dancing.
Okay,
with
yeah.
Indian dance.
Yeah. Gotcha. So I don't know if there's any indication here. Oh, it says Apache Blackfoot Society. So it looks like it's a couple different Native American tribes. Okay. So now that takes us to the stadium itself, and I can see in the first image the vertical there with the platform up on top and a couple people
Correct.
at the bottom. And then the next thing is you're in between section 11 and 12 and peering over the top, probably thinking, oh man, what have we gotten ourselves into?
The whole group went up there, and then one at a time, we rappelled down the side. We had been practicing this in the gymnasium, and I think they had something set up like a 45-degree angle board that went from the second story of the gym down to the floor, and we had walked down that with the ropes, which was nothing.
Yeah.
But this was sort of like, okay, now we're going to actually do a rappel down a vertical wall.
Yeah. So the that does take you to the next image. Somebody's got like nice little cowboy hat on, and they're heading down. But who is that? Just one of the first people to go down?
That was one of the students. His name was Pablo. He had gone to Boston University, and he played football for them.
Okay.
I think he was a center.
Oh my.
He was big. He was a big dude, and we ran around with him. He was our closest friend while we were there.
Okay. He doesn't look like a center, at least in this image, but did he just take it and take to the task without too much fear, just like head on?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And then the next one just shows kind of that may be him still just getting at the bottom.
Yes, he lost his hat on the way down.
Oh.
But now he's on the ground again.
Okay. All right. So that does take us to Mom. And when I saw the image of him going down, it doesn't look like they used that shoulder thing at all, but there she is with the harness and a shoulder thing.
You can see she's got straps around her legs and waist, and there's a carabiner kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the rope came down through the carabiner and up and over her shoulder and into her right hand, and that's how you...
Okay, so then that leather piece was functional as...
Oh, yes.
As you got into it. Okay. Oh, I do see it. In the next picture, there's a gal.
Yeah,
and
that's Bobby.
And you can see how that is.
Over her shoulder and down through the carabiner, and yeah.
Right, okay. And now there's Mom, and I guess I see the thing over her shoulder as well. So I'm going to cut away to Mom and get her impressions about how she felt about this.
I'm sure she can still remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was almost sick to my stomach. It was awful.
So we've got the picture where you're standing there, see the gloves and see the stuff all hooked up, and I see the platform that you're talking about.
Okay.
So, but you're not perpendicular. I mean, you're just kind of standing there. How long did you stay there?
It took them a while to talk me out of it. Once my feet hit the wall, I was okay.
Yeah.
I was okay the rest of the way down.
Okay, because that's the next picture. Is you see you're pretty much perpendicular to the ground, and you're walking down.
Okay.
So
Yeah. But leaning back into nothingness, that's what it felt like. I mean, this little rope over my shoulder wasn't going to hold me. I mean, it just wasn't. Anyway.
Yeah, it took about 3 or 4 minutes for her to get from the one picture to the next picture.
So now, was she one of the least ambitious to get down the wall, or was there a lot of being nervous to get out there?
That's a good question. I don't remember very many of them being as cautious as she was.
Okay.
Or taking as long as she did. They all did it. But I think she was one of the most frightened of the group. Maybe the most. I don't know.
Yeah. Huh. And then on the bottom, I see the guy the guy with the white T-shirt had Pablo's hat on, and you can see him now without the hat. So he made the successful exchange when Pablo got done.
Yeah, that's not Pablo, but that was one of the instructors. Yeah.
But he had his hat on when he was undoing. Well, you know what? No, there's a guy with khaki pants on that had the hat on, so it must have been one of the other guys. So I think the next one's you. So you're coming down and
the rope at the top got looped around one of the seats.
Oh boy.
And I got to that point and it just stopped.
Oh.
And that's why I wasn't leaning back, because all of a sudden the rope wouldn't go any farther. I couldn't slide down it anymore.
Okay. Well, and I can't kind of ask Mom this. They weren't expecting you to rappel down into these cliff-dwelling populations or something in South America. So why were they having you guys learn how to rappel?
The training that we went through was an experimental training. They threw the rappelling and drown-proofing and several other kinds of things that were very stressful at us to see if that would help. I don't know. And we never heard what the results were of that training. All the other Peace Corps groups, when they went through training, it was mostly language and none of this kind of stuff was a part of it.
Okay. So you guys were, wow.
Experimental.
Yeah. Don't drink the Kool-Aid that they gave you. They may have given you enhancing, no. I'm sure they didn't. Okay, so here's the next picture of the two of you, but Mom's smiling, so she got through it, and
she's done. She doesn't have to do it again.
Yeah. But I think she mentioned that she had to do it 3 times.
Yes, we all did it 3 times.
Oh my goodness. So was it easier second and third?
She says absolutely not.
Oh.
That each one was as bad as the previous one, or maybe worse.
Oh my.
I thought it was easier because you
just got the feel for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
She did not.
Okay, well, I don't see the red bus next, but I do see the other one. It's got a nice little Coca-Cola cap on the back there. Where are you guys headed? Into the wilderness, I guess?
There is Fort Sill is an Army base in southern central Oklahoma.
Okay.
And the mountains that you see ahead of, the rocks that you see ahead of us, is on the north side of Fort Sill. That's where we were headed. It's not a part of Fort Sill, but it was located right adjacent to it. And I think actually that picture was taken from the red bus.
I was just going to say there's a little bit of a red hue on the left, and so sometimes it could be kind of a little bit of a color hue based on the sun. So who knows? Yeah, I think it's the red bus. All right, so Mom's group.
That's Mom's group. They divided us up into groups. They divided up husbands and wives, and there was some thought to how they put these groups together. They never told us what their criteria was, but I think 2, 4, 6, 7 or 8 people in a group.
Okay, yeah.
They had leaders. They had 2 leaders, so they fight for leadership, and slow people.
Well, and I see everybody. Well, I mean, there's a few of the folks that have the old kind of Army green canteens that are hooked to belts.
Yes.
Certainly not as convenient as like a water backpack would be now. We've got that.
Oh no. No, this was World War II.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah. Well, then your group looks like it's a little smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now,
I don't have any rationale for that.
No. Is that Pablo next to you?
No, Pablo's not in this. He was in a different group.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, you look good. I look terrible.
Nah, you guys both look good. And then it just looks like you guys are kind of getting organized in that next one with the rocks and the mountains behind you. The gal looking down with almost a purplish thing that she's got tied on. Maybe that's just her hat strap. Looks a little less than enthused.
Well, I'm not sure what this briefing was, but you see the rope at the foot of the instructor.
Oh,
He's
yes.
got his back to it.
I do.
So I think we're heading off into the rocks to do the rappelling.
And she might be looking at the rope saying, "Oh man, not again."
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Like that.
And so I see you guys kind of tromping off into the wilderness there through the scrub, and just these next few just kind of give you an idea of what the terrain is. It wouldn't be anything dissimilar to some of the foothills here. I mean, Ken and I have gone on some hikes that probably have some topography just like this.
Right. It's just that it doesn't have the higher stuff.
Right.
It's like some of the lower foothills here, but that's it.
Well, but this next picture where there's a rope somebody had to just climb up to attach to get the rope ready. And then there's somebody in the middle with a cowboy hat on.
He's a climber. She was one of us.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily just a safe. You could slip and hurt yourself there easily.
Oh, somebody's up on top.
Yes, that absolutely could have happened. Fortunately, we were not aware of it. If you notice off to the right at the top, you can see a guy. They're coming up a different, a few hundred, maybe 100 yards over or something. But the instructors were already, they were the ones that set the course up. So they had gone on up ahead and made sure everything was ready to go.
Okay. Now the next picture is a little bit dark, and then I enhanced it a little bit. I think you can see somebody climbing to the right.
Yes.
But that looks like free climbing on a straight vertical.
Well, it wasn't free.
No,
they did have a rope.
I see the rope.
But yeah, as far as how far you could fall before the rope would catch you, it wasn't it wasn't real tight.
Yeah.
But as far as we know, we never heard
anybody hurt,
that anyone fell, anyone got hurt.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. If you did this today, everybody would have climbing helmets and gloves and probably rock shoes. So it's just kind of different. The next one,
some kind of insurance.
Yeah, some kind of insurance. But the next one just shows again a couple of the ropes coming off the top, and there's somebody in one of the cracks there, kind of working either up or down. I don't know.
Yeah, no, he's going up.
Okay. And then there's a nice.
I don't remember the coming down part. That's amazing.
Huh. And there's a nice.
I don't think we came down. Maybe. I don't remember. I bet we did.
And then there's a nice bright shot of the cliff face next, and then a pair of feet showing kind of
Those were my feet.
Yes, I see. Yeah, I mean, I've had that same angle, except for the one where the rope is coming straight down.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of tend to avoid those.
I thought that was sort of a good shot.
Yeah, no, it was. And then this reminds me of a shot that's kind of back out across the rocks there with kind of the scrub kind of vegetation in front. Up in Gunnison and kind of where we were on Hartman Rocks. It's kind of a neat shot to show kind of the perspective when you get up top. All right, so the next picture is a bunch of buffalo.
Yes.
And Mom... Yeah.
And notice the white just a little bit left of center.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we had been sleeping.
Okay. And then I see some blue kind of in the background. So you guys...
That was a road.
Okay. So you guys basically survived a buffalo stampede.
Yeah, they weren't stampeding, they were walking, but they were still large enough to want to be avoided.
Yeah. How many? I mean, I see probably 8 in the picture. Were there more than 8?
I would have, I think there were more like 20, 25, something like that.
Okay, yeah. Huh. All right, and then the next one here is you guys all along a fence kind of looking on after somebody with a horse.
You know, this is something I really don't remember much about. We don't have any pictures of anybody riding, so
Sure.
I don't think that we actually got to ride. I think there were too many of us, but I think they may have been just explaining. I don't know. I don't remember that.
How to
much
saddle a
about it.
horse and some of the basics. Okay. All right, now we're back. We've got the red bus again in front of what looks to be a hotel. Well, is that the dorms there in Oklahoma?
Those are the dorms that we lived in.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay. And Mom is dressed in yellow, and everybody's kind of dressed. Is this a travel day?
This is a travel day. We were headed to Mexico City.
Wow. Okay, so then you've got Braniff Airlines behind the whole crew. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 by my count, 17 with the camera.
Yeah.
I felt like there was more than
I would have thought there might be another 3 or 4 or 5.
Okay.
We're going to see another group when we actually get to Mexico City, and should be the same group.
Okay. And Mom looks like she's having a good meal there on the aircraft. Were you in the seat toward the window?
Yes, and that's Pablo. He's the football player from...
Oh, yeah, he looks a little bigger there than in the other. Okay, now you guys are on the ground. I can't...
This is in Mexico City.
Yeah. Reminds me of a couple airports that I've been to. A little bit like Haiti.
Not everybody that you can see is in our group.
Right. So there's more folks. It's interesting now that when you traveled back then, you dressed up.
Yeah.
So
that was the thing.
That was the requirement.
yeah.
Everybody.
I think most people dressed up when they flew back then.
Yeah, I think that's true. It was fancy. And then the next scene here, we've got the 60s era cars and a bus, and you can tell it's a street of someplace outside of the U.S.
Correct. This is Mexico City, and this was just a shot of the traffic. You know, as we were headed to east to the coast. Veracruz, yes.
Yeah. And then it looks like there's some shots out the window there, just with some mountains in the background, and kind of a real vacant field and some buildings.
A vacant field. The reason I took that shot was, if you look really closely, you can see soccer players.
Yeah, I wondered about it.
All across, and on the far left also. There were kids playing on places like this everywhere.
Wow. Find an opportunity and get it done. All right, the next shot here just looks, in fact, it's interesting. The guy's got a soccer ball in a bag.
Yep.
So
Just took a picture out the window of the bus, or the car, as we were driving through town.
That looks like a magazine's kind of stand.
Yes. And I don't know how I don't think there was, I don't know that those two guys were on the left were in charge of collecting money for it, because I think these people were waiting for a bus to come. I think.
Yeah, I don't see a vendor that looks normal, but there is something that looks like a scooter, or there's something that has a red wheel behind the gal.
Yeah.
And I
think that lady is maybe pushing something.
Okay. And then again, another landscape shot as you're moving.
Yep.
Yeah.
Had to get gas. If I'm not mistaken, if you look at the wall, the map on the wall, I think on the left that could be Mexico City.
Oh.
And we were headed over to where you can see right up in the upper right corner.
Yeah.
I think that's the Gulf of Mexico. Veracruz is right on the water.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I think
that's really helpful of them to have put that there.
Yeah, except I have no clue where we were.
Yeah, there's no "You Are Here" button.
Right. Nothing red or something like that.
Well, just to the right of the one pole may have been.
Yeah, could be.
Possibly, I don't know. But then, okay, so then
to get gas.
Yeah, and then this little hotel is pretty neat. It looks pretty lush.
We drove from Mexico City, stayed overnight, and arrived the next day. And we stopped at several places to eat on the way. So we took pictures of the hotel that we had stopped at. The girls stayed in Mexico City and took buses out to Toluca, which was west of town. And was it a week? It seemed like about a week that we were separated, and then the girls joined us in Veracruz.
Okay. Yeah, there's a nice pool, and it looks like there's a nice little restaurant in the back.
Yeah.
And then it looks like out to the country. Again, looks like a travel shot as you're going. Some fields it looks like maybe some corn.
Yeah.
That's where you stay.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if that's a truck or like a billboard. Bienvenido Sal.
I think it's a billboard.
Okay. And you can see some power lines, so you're not too far out. This next one, it's not really, probably the shutter speed was a little lower than to keep it real clean, but you can see the low clouds and kind of the higher hills there.
Right. We went, I forget the altitude that we were at, but I remember that when we got toward the coast, it was significantly down. It was thousands of feet down.
Yeah.
And the roads weren't just straight; they were very mountainous.
Very windy. Well, this next shot looks like it's a beach hotel. And the first time
we stayed.
And the first time I looked through this, I did not see the mosaic kind of flooring and the artwork on the.
Oh yeah.
On the floor. Looks almost like a Picasso-ish.
I don't remember a whole lot about that, but this is where the guys stayed.
Okay. And it looks like a really nice shot of the beach there. And they've got
That's the Gulf of New Mexico.
Of Mexico?
Of Mexico. Yeah.
Okay.
Of Mexico.
Yeah. And then it looks like a group. I mean, they almost look like they're in formation. In fact, yeah, they're in step. Their left legs are going forward and their right arms are going forward at the same time. This looks like a little bit of a marching unit of kids.
I think it was a holiday, and I think this was a school group, and I think it may have, the holiday was some kind of military something or other.
Huh? Because I mean,
they were definitely marching.
So
these are school kids.
Okay, and they're in step. Yeah, interesting. Okay, and then Hotel Castellan.
This is from the other end of that first shot of orange.
Right.
And you can see, if you look really closely, the girls have arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I know we stayed overnight with them. I mean, they stayed overnight with us here before we went out to the boondocks. We may have stayed maybe more than one night, but this is probably the next day, and I think what we're doing is getting ready to head out into the boondocks.
Yeah, it looks
As I remember, all the guys brought a flower to the girls.
When
they were so happy to see American girls back.
They arrived on the buses.
They greeted us with flowers.
Nice. Nice. So, Dad, you see the pickup in front. Is that like a tap-tap in Haiti, where you would pull the tailgate down and go sit inside?
Well, you can see that the one on the right is Department of maybe Agriculture or something like that.
Aguas, yeah.
I'm not sure that's what that was. Although, what you're saying, it's very much like what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. Well, and now we are out in the country. There's a horse tied up kind of in that nice little fence line there. There's a couple kids outside of that thatched hut, and I can't tell if that's Mom in the middle of that truck or if she's with you.
I don't remember how we rode, but it could have been.
Okay. But you guys are going out to this location. The next shot.
We're headed out to the boondocks.
Yeah, the next shot is all of the cots out in front of, and I don't know, it looks like everybody's claiming their bed.
Well, yeah, exactly. We had just arrived. They had built these for us, and so we had to put our stuff somewhere, and we did.
Admiring them, and then they've got a truck. It looks like out, or is that the tractor with the trailer on it?
Yes, there is a red tractor. There's a guy sitting
I see a little
driving
bit of red.
it, and that is how we left.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Huh. Okay. So the next
that was there to help haul stuff back and forth and around.
Gotcha. Yeah, the next shot is, we talked a little bit about this, I think yesterday. It's the kitchen part of the dual building there, where he's kind of working on something.
Correct. That's a she.
Is it? Okay.
It looks, I understand why you could misunderstand, but that was a she. And you can see the group that was out around the table where we ate. Yeah. They were talking about whatever we were going to do.
Gotcha. And then I guess that's Pablo on the cot. He was about the only one that could get to his bed straight from the door. I guess there's a couple of them that have access from the aisle.
Right, and they filled the aisle up at night because it took that much room in order to get them all in.
Were there a couple of them outside of the building at that point?
No, they all were inside in case it rained, but it took every ounce of space inside to get them all in.
Huh. Okay. And then there's the outside, and I guess the door on the right would have been where the gal was in there with the kitchen and the place on the
right
left.
Right at the kitchen, the left is where we were staying.
And those little makeshift benches and tables, I guess, probably were where you guys ate.
Correct. And notice the free-ranging chicken.
Yeah, I mean, those guys probably were not eaten very often. They were probably for eggs.
Well, yeah.
And then the next one just kind of shows some other houses and just buildings.
This is what you could see from where we were the previous one.
Oh, okay, so you were kind of looking back away from the other main place.
I'm sorry, say that again?
You were just looking away from that picnic area.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And then some more, kind of see a little bit of rudimentary fencing, and again the same kind of thatch building materials.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't know where we were, you could think we were in Africa.
Okay. Yeah.
It felt like Africa.
It was probably warm a little bit. And then, okay, now this is a good perspective. I think I recognize it because this next one is the taller building and then kind of the lower building with a little bit more of a kind of metal roof. Are those the kitchen and the sleeping place with the stuff in front?
Correct.
Okay. Getting the lay of the land here. And then over here it looks like a bathhouse and a kind of a water tower.
Bathrooms, 2 bathrooms, and the water tower. And if you turned 90 degrees to your left, you would see the shot that we took just previously.
Okay. Now, were those water fountains out front of those buildings functional?
Good question. I think so, but I don't remember for sure.
We didn't drink.
I don't think, we didn't drink it, even if they were, because
that you'd have been in trouble.
That was one of the ways you could really get sick.
Yeah. And then another kind of brightly colored, and again, I think you're just backing up. I see the dog just kind of lazing out on the cement area.
Right, and in the background, you can see the people and
the buildings.
The 2 houses we saw before.
Yeah, the buildings.
The bathrooms were to the right.
Okay. So what's that is a school, the blue and the orange?
Yes, correct.
And speaking of school, I wonder if these 3 riding this little donkey are going to school, or where are they headed?
That's a good question. They probably were going home or going, who knows?
Yeah.
If there was a school there, it's the one that you see just above and to the left of the donkey's head. The blue building is the school building, and then you can see the white bathrooms to the left of that.
Oh, wow. Well,
We did preschool in progress.
Yeah, this was summer.
Yeah.
So this would have been maybe August or the first part of September. So they may not have been in school.
Gotcha. And now, do you notice some Americana there in that picture, upper left?
Yes.
The VW Bug. So I wonder what year that Volkswagen was.
Well, this was 1965 summer.
Okay.
So I don't think it was any later than that.
No, I guess it would not have been. No, that's just interesting because, man, that shape looks so familiar to stuff we've seen here.
Yep.
And then Mom had previously mentioned that she had done some washing, and so this is right next to a big well, and the girls
can prove it.
Yeah, the girls are out there. That looks like a little kid's top, but I don't know. Maybe it's not.
Good question.
Now,
I think what Mom has in her hand are somebody's shorts.
Oh, possibly. Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe. I don't know.
Now, what? So the guy is coming across carrying a big old fence post or whatever. Is that somebody from your group, or was that a local gentleman?
I can't tell. It could have been either.
I think it's a group.
If you extend into the sky off the guy's shoulder, you can see a mountaintop. That's Mount Orizaba.
Wow, I guess you can. You bet. That looked like a cloud for a minute.
Yeah. No, but that's a mountain. And we actually came around that. That was one of the things that we had to pass and then come down to this level that this is on, which was sea level.
Okay.
But the reason we haven't talked about why we were out there,
right?
And there is a picture right at the end that I'll leave that and explain it a little bit later.
Okay. Now here's a crew that looks like they're going out to Machete.
Yes, and I'm the one on the left.
Yeah.
The second one on the right was a local guy.
Yeah.
But there are four of us from the group.
Okay.
And you'll see a couple more pictures that'll explain a little bit about where we were going and what we were trying to do.
Yeah, the next one I see that you're up in a tree. So at least 3 of the 4 made it in a tree. I guess the fourth one was taking the picture.
Well, that's probably true. We were cutting off branches, and so somebody had to be down on the bottom stacking them up.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened.
Okay. And then you had some local transportation to get the...
Local transportation, exactly. We had 2 donkeys that hauled them in for us. This was the to-do was to build some buildings that were going to somehow create a town. We were going to create a town square, and I don't know what else. They never really did tell us exactly what we were trying to do, but they gave us more just directions. Go get these, go do this, and these were going to be the roofing of something.
Yeah, interesting. And they certainly knew how to do it. There's a nice little shot of the donkeys, and then I can't tell how old the individual is in between them that was kind of helping with you.
Yeah, he's an adult, even though he looks like a kid.
Yeah, kind of there he does. Looks like he's a little...
Especially if you back up when you see the guy that's off to the left is Pablo. He's the big football player, so... Oh,
yeah. Yeah, he looks like he hits him right around the shoulder blade.
Just about.
Okay. And there's the red tractor that you mentioned, and it looks like maybe a pile has been started of the leaves that you guys...
That's where we had deposited what we brought in, and those were the building supplies that we were going to use.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
However, I think the day we took this picture was the day we were leaving.
Gotcha.
Because this is our transportation.
Yeah. Wow. And there you are, dressed and ready.
Next to it.
Yeah. And you guys, so what, so you say you left, so the team was staying longer.
The team stayed, we left. 3 of us actually departed that day in the back of the trailer. Mm-hmm. We felt like we were going to, like Joan of Arc going to the execution when we left them.
We have some other pictures, and that's the photograph that showed us actually in the
back of the trailer. In the back of the...
Yeah.
But you would have had to stage that by giving somebody your camera and then getting it back, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the 2 left here. The next one's the restaurant, number 8, La Nortina.
Across the street from the Orange Hotel.
Oh, okay.
That's where we went back, and I think we stayed one night, and then the next evening we left. or maybe we left that night, because we did leave about 10 or 11 o'clock at night on the bus to go back to Mexico City.
And then the final there, it looks like, is possibly one of the reasons. It looks like there's some framing being done, and maybe the leaves were destined to get there at some point.
That's the other married couple.
Yeah. This was another married couple. They lived in Wisconsin, and we actually visited them when we got home. They also did not go with the group. They bailed, but they waited a little longer than we did. And obviously the gal, the short gal, lives there.
Okay.
But apparently, this was the extent of what they accomplished.
They don't set us back.
Yeah, they did.
So that's the extent of the whole team, the length of time that you guys were there.
Yes. And that is the last one I think we have.
Yeah. So that's
we didn't take that picture.
Right.
They sent us this picture.
Okay. So it was a lot of investment. That's an expensive framing job, I think.
Yes. However, it was training.
Yeah, sure.
For us.
So you found a willing location to say, sure, bring them in.
Yep, they did.
All right, so in 3 minutes, take me to the beginning of the thought of, hey, let's do Peace Corps, to, hey, let's not do Peace Corps.
Well, I don't really recall where the idea came from originally to do Peace Corps. It may have been something as simple as walking by a bulletin board at Michigan State and seeing, something about it, and what do you think about that?
Let's give that a shot.
Yeah, and so I can't really describe that because I don't remember that, but those first two pictures of us filling out the forms and stuff, that was in February, and we left after we graduated in June, and we actually went. It was the first part of July, end of June, when we actually went to the training. So, but as far as why we didn't go for the 2 years, was once we got into the situation here that we've just been looking at the end here, we tried to talk to the kids even. Mm-hmm. And because we did not have Spanish as, a language that you might have having taken a year in high school or a couple of years in college, we had no language going into it. And in retrospect, I'm surprised, and maybe they didn't do it again, but I was surprised that they took somebody who had no language, because I think just about everybody who was in the lowest language class, everybody but one, I think, bailed out. And the guy that did not have language, Spanish as a language, ended up teaching at a university in the capital, and so most of what he did was in English.
Gotcha. Well, that was really enlightening. I appreciate you guys kind of explaining what this was. Most of our kids have not seen these slides, but we have, Jeff, Kristen, and I, and so that was pretty cool to kind of go through that set and kind of understand it better.
Well, I think what you're planning on doing, putting some verbiage to the pictures, will be helpful, and I think at some point the kids would love to see this, I would think.
Yeah. Well,
we did get a picture of the drown proofing stuff.
The swimming.
Which was terrible.
Now, do you have images of those types of things? Do you think there's more
I don't believe so.
Peace Corps?
We have some.
Oh, we do?
We have some snapshots of it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I remember seeing them.
Okay. Well,
At least the last one where we were all, everybody was up in the watching us.
Right.
yeah, don't think that
So
would
we
have
have
been fun.
some, but
Oh, that's okay. I'm not sure. I mean, this definitely tells the story. I mean, you mentioned it, so I think that's good.
well, the drown proofing was as bad or worse than the repelling.
Gotcha. So I guess one last question. Compare and contrast the training for this versus the military.
Well, this was the summer right after I graduated. When we came back from Peace Corps training, it was almost the end of September. I got a job and I worked 3 months before the draft board made it clear that we were, going to be drafted. And that's when I enlisted. And so it was 6 months to a year following this experience that I actually went into the Air Force for 8 years. So the training that we went through here was much more difficult than the Air Force training that I went through eventually. This may not have been as well. It was out on the edge because of what they were trying to develop or understand, and perhaps add to their training, but which they didn't. So the Air Force was definitely structured. There were things about it that weren't as much fun. And we didn't have our wives with us there in the training anyway. But as far as psychological toughness, this was worse than Air Force.
Yeah. So what you're basically saying is Mom could have been an Air Force general officer.
After she got down that wall, yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate the info, and we'll put this together and have it for posterity, and we'll go through some of the other sets here in a little while.